So this is a compilation. What I was looking for was kind of your top three things that you're looking for in a platform, and it's been interesting to try and compile those. So I have them in roughly an order from one, two, three, roughly. Although, like some people put web apps as their number one thing, some people put web apps as their number two thing, some people put it as their number three thing. But I try to bring all of them together into groups so you kind of get a rough idea how many we're looking. And where is my Zoom container? There we go. Now we had a few less results this time, somewhere around 40, which is still, I think, fabulous and strong for a survey, especially when I didn't get it out until Monday morning. But it seems like obviously the overwhelming desire for folks was to have some web app-like functionality. And whether you call it a database, whether you call it a web app, or just web app-like functionality, maybe perhaps even some module data type functionality, that's what folks seem to be interested in. So probably no big surprise there. At least it wasn't for me. And I will say, if anybody wants to say a few words, go ahead and grab the mic and just speak out, or put in the chat that you'd like to speak up, and I'll try and get you in there. So this was a bit interesting to me, and the next kind of most popular thing was the CRM. I've got sites that I take care of where they never use anything in the CRM other than they go look at forms maybe once in a while, but they're not really using that CRM. So I was a little bit surprised to see how much interest there was in a really fully functional or unlimited CRM. Someone wrote here. Someone else kind of described exactly what they're after: a good CMS so the client can easily update their site. That CMS may not be in the right spot for this particular one, but I thought that was pretty interesting. And Urs says, yeah, I kind of have to agree. It's because now we really know and appreciate how important it is. Now that you don't necessarily have it, or you have to look at finding a replacement, it's not so much taken for granted, if you will, if that's the right way to say it. That's a good point, Urs. So Come On Go Creative says that they use the CRM quite a bit, and it's part of what they sell to their clients. It's part of their proposal to their end clients. And as Urs says, it's what they educate their clients about to take it on board. And this is it's a bit of a mixed bag, but the next thing people want is this whole liquid scripting, or a template language, or some level of control over the HTML and JavaScript. They really want to be able to dig in and work with, if they have a web app or a database, they want to be able to work with that information, or even just the page HTML, in a meaningful way. And in some cases, they want to be able to use whatever code or framework they choose. They don't want to be locked into one, although someone would like to continue using Foundation. But for the most part, they probably want to be able to use whatever code or framework they choose. So some of the ones that I've looked at are a little proprietary that way, and it's tough to get a Foundation or a Bootstrap or your own custom framework to work with some of the platforms. With other ones, you can use whatever you want. So interesting that there's a fair number of people that want to be able to dig in. Yeah, we'll get to that, Ray. Ray's said they have quite a few clients who'd like an automated constant contact or MailChimp app. So the next item was e-commerce, so easy e-commerce integration. I was a little surprised by this too, because there's not, in my experience, at least with the clients I've been working with, there was not that much e-commerce interest. So maybe it's just the niche that I happen to focus in. But I was surprised at how much interest there was in a full-on e-commerce solution. And things right down to like a B2B quote request, which we kind of take for granted on the BC side, but it's not as easy to find in some of these other platforms. Flexibility is key there. I know we found some challenges in working with the BC e-commerce module. There was the level of flexibility that was not necessarily there. Maybe some focus on a area specific shipping and taxes. I know there's some challenges with the European Union and taxes over there. Now, Daniel says e-commerce is a small portion of his clients, but essential when they ask for it. So when his clients ask for e-commerce, then he wants a decent platform that is flexible and adjustable. And Giles, I'm going to say I might have your name wrong there. And come on, go. He's really come to like Liquid, and I think we kind of all have. I mean, I really like Liquid too, and the things that we're starting to work with, at least some of the skill set is portable as I work with some of these other platforms. But once you understood Liquid, you could really get a lot out of it. Yeah, Irish, even things like ebooks and consults to pay online, even just to be able to take a payment on a web form. I guess at its simplest, it's not truly e-commerce, but it is. It's e-commerce like. It's payment gateways. It's downloadable stuff that you pay for and all the rest of that stuff. And Jack says even events have to be done through e-commerce on his end, just because of the way he's got his stuff set up. So I guess it's not as simple as saying, I don't really work with many clients that sell stuff. I certainly work with other ones that take payments and book events and seminars and all the rest of that stuff. So I guess that's a fair way to say it. And Paul reiterates, he'd like to have one platform, one template language, and not have to look at one for regular sites and one for e-commerce sites and one for something else. So Alexander would like drag and drop email marketing and easy to set up drip marketing. Well, Alexander, did you fill out the survey? Because that comes up a little bit later. So this was this next section. There was a lot of it, and I kind of put them all in the same bucket here, and they are slightly different, but it comes around hosting. So they want a hosted solution. They want it to be secure. They don't want to be reliant on a specific platform. Again, secure hosting. They want to be able to have multiple sites in a management console. Really a better BC, all the stuff that we're used to, but a better version. Integrated hosting, DNS, email, that all-in-one package. I'm not sure what was meant by no dedicated hosting, but that was in there. The equivalent level of managed hosting, secure, stable, same performance, with similar package levels. Robust, well-implemented e-com events, that same packageability. Scalability, real backup, and migration import facilities. Hosting and email accounts. The email accounts came up fairly regular, actually. OSS open source and Docker deployment. I'm not sure what that means unless you're talking about GitHub or whatever, but integrated email hosting. Balance between stability, availability, and cost. Reliable for $50 a month. I've said in the past, I think we were getting a pretty good deal with what we were paying at $38.88 US a month for what we were getting. I thought that was a pretty good deal. Affordable plans with web app-like functionality, but not having to pay for e-commerce. So maybe a little bit more modular in their pricing models, where you can kind of pick and choose the functionality that you're after. Cost should be competitive. I guess competitive with what? So you can't compete with GoDaddy's WordPress hosting for $10 a month. But on the other end of the scale, I have lots of clients that don't want to spend $500 a month. So, but what is competitive? What is that dollar amount? And the ability to white label came up fairly regular. Lots of people like the whole white label aspect. And as I'm looking at some of these platforms, there's a lot of them that don't want that. Synergy 8 was one of them. I see Ray said, he said Synergy 8 was really cool, except for the cost. Well, and also they won't allow you to white label. They want to maintain that relationship with your end clients. So that was not quite a non-starter, but it's close. I think I missed a couple here. Barbara had said payment forms is not easy to find the feature out there in an affordable way. So being able to take payment via form is not necessarily so simple. And Alexandra says she didn't see the survey. Well, I was just calling you out a little bit there, Alexandra. No issue at all. And the next batch was same features as Adobe Business Catalyst, that all-in-one package that people would really love, which kind of echoes what Paul said, Paul Wells. He said, like, I just want one platform. I don't want to have to find 2 or 3 different ones. The modules again, blog, events, gallery, forum. But what you're after is that modularity, being able to add, kind of pick and choose what your end client needs, and not necessarily have to pay for 20 things if you're only using 5. Would be, I guess, I would add my own little 2 cents in there. As many single source capabilities as possible in one solution. So again, that whole modularity thing. A backend admin similar to BC, but easier. The integrated blog and social media, the ability to set up a site without having to know all sorts of code. That came up a few times. Consistent development of the app. So what they're looking for is consistent upgrades where improvements are made on a regular basis. Just reading the comments here. Giles says he's impressed so far with Code Production's Triple CMS. They're modeling it after BC using Embraco headless CMS as a backbone, which is fine. Pat says it'd be great to have a Dreamweaver plugin simply for development time. Yeah, I mean, at one point Business Catalyst had it in Dreamweaver, and then it went away. It would be nice to be able to have that kind of a connection with a back end system for sure. Again, Amazon Web Services for hosting. So what you're looking for, I believe, is that robustness, that that dedicated content delivery network, the whole backup structure, and all the rest of that. Clay says, does anyone know if Adobe would consider selling BC instead of killing it? The answer is no. It's been asked and answered several times, not the latest of which was from the Adobe team itself. They are not going to sell it. Even Pretty Palouse and Brett Stockley from Pretty had said they had offered to buy Business Catalyst, and they were told flat no. And then in the partner advisory board meetings, we asked again, and right from Kristinella and Magda, they said no, they're not going to sell it. Daniel, I don't know what happened to Triple Platform OS. I believe that's still what's going on. Frankly, they've stopped connecting with me. I think he got a little bit upset because I cut him short on one of the Sandpiles. This is the comments that I saw, and in fact, it was just the hour was up, and I said it's time to go. Even though I think the previous one I'd stayed longer, and he was a little upset by that, and I haven't talked to him since, which may not be fair to say, but. They seem to be doing their own thing now, which is just fine. So Paul asked what happened to POS. Platform OS is out there for sure. They're producing some videos. He's making regular updates to some of the social media channels. Definitely making some progress here and there on it. So you have to find a way to get connected into it. I don't know if that's a Facebook page or the BC Cafe LinkedIn page, or even if it's just in Slack. But definitely there's some stuff coming out. I know there's been some videos produced both by Adam Cook and by Scott Reynolds showing using the platform and such. So you just got to look for it. If I have time at the end, I'll try and find the links for you. Yeah, Ray says Adam Broadway just announced a less expensive version only for BC partners. That one was in his last video. And Aaron's got some updates there. Yeah, Ursula, if you wouldn't mind popping a link on Facebook to help these folks who haven't got that connection to get connected. So to continue on, the ability to edit the HTML and the CSS code. If they want to change something or they want to add something, they want to be able to get to it. Rather than being locked in. Some of these block-based editors can be a little challenging to get things the way you want and to get to that code and do some of that level of customization. There seems to be two camps. Some folks love that, and some folks want to be able to get in there and play with it. So you kind of have to figure out where you are. Nice WYSIWYG for a client, intuitive UI, end user WYSIWYG, the whole drag and drop. I say there's kind of the two camps. Easy for clients to edit without screwing with the design, and that comes at a cost, and that cost is the ability to edit the HTML and the CSS code. At least from the end user perspective, they have to obfuscate this ability in order to make it hard for your clients to screw up. So that's what I'm told anyway. Simple for clients to do their own content management. Just looking at the comments. Yeah, thanks, Serge, for putting that post in there. I'm just going to, no, that's okay. If I can, in the meeting notes, I'll try and link out to some of these resources, is what I was thinking. And this came up, but not quite as often as I thought, an automated migration process. So a new platform that recognizes BC modules and converts them. I'm not sure why I'm getting cut off here. And in some cases, that I know of at least two examples where that's kind of happening. I know Scott Reynolds used his Form BC Business Catalyst app to export some code and then just basically dropped it into Platform OS and uploaded it, and it worked nicely. And then Adam posted a video where someone else has been able to pull data across through the API. So I think some of that is starting to happen on the Platform OS side. Of course, we would all like to have it fully automated, but easily migrate my BC sites to it, and portability. Those are all what we're hearing here. I do know code production. When he was talking with me, I had him do one of my client sites and pull it across, and they had an app basically which I loaded on my client site, and that allowed them to pull that site across largely as it was. Now on the other end, I didn't see the admin side on the code production side, but the site itself came right across. So I think people are working on this process. Pat says, sorry, what was Adam's platform? That's Platform OS. That's what folks are talking about. So the link, if you look at that link that Urs posted there, Pat, that should be what you're looking for. So Giles says he took this as an opportunity to expand to multiple platforms. He's afraid to go back to one platform. Now that's nice strategic thinking. He did that with BC, thinking it was backed by a solid company and didn't work. We all kind of felt the same thing. So he's thinking about using Shopify for e-commerce and the Triple CMS for smaller sites. Okay, thanks again for the link there, Urs. Adam McGough has indicated that Synergy 8 said they will give 100% commission on sites until January 2019. I did not realize that either. So that could be cool. Might be a way to offset some of the costs of migrating sites across. I was personally really impressed with that Synergy 8. From that whole marketing automation platform was very cool. The price you pay is it's a little bit more, it's more expensive per month, but what you could do from a marketing automation perspective was fabulous. So that's my 2 cents worth. So the next thing was easy to develop and simple to understand by designers. So this is, what's interesting to me is the two camps. We have, again, the designers and the developers, and that's kind of what happened with Business Catalyst. It was initially marketed as a design platform, and then it evolved into a developer platform. And I'm not sure you can have one that will do both, personally. Giles was going to ask what I suggest. Well, of course, it's a little bit of that depends. I like Synergy 8 for my clients from a digital ink perspective. I liked Synergy 8. I could have seen get my head around that. From a larger client perspective, I've said before, Chicago Digital, we're going down the path of WordPress, a managed WordPress, with a large company like WP Engine. So we have the full backup and management of security updates and patches and all the rest of it. And we're still looking for our top end platform, and frankly, for our bottom end platform. Yeah, Jane was a little less impressed with Synergy 8, and she references the core beliefs of the business, and that I think you're relating, Jane, to their insistence that they remain forefront, like the lack of a white label, that they hold the relationship with your end client and all the rest of that. One sec, Karen. Karen. Sorry, very important phone call. So I was talking about this whole designer developer thing. I'm just not sure that they can have a platform that is good for both. I don't know what you guys think. Business Catalyst might have been as close as we thought it could be, but I don't know. What do you think? Yeah, Adam says Synergy 8 said you can invoice your own clients, but they still want to maintain that relationship. So I think there's some risk there, and that's kind of what Jane's getting at there. Yeah, Jane's got some notes in the chat there. And Giles says the graphic designer first and really took to Liquid. So maybe you're straddling the fence there. I actually trained as a graphic designer and became a developer out of necessity. So I can kind of concur with your path there. This was interesting. It only really came up once. Not that, just because people didn't think of it doesn't mean it's not important, but someone wanted the site to perform well on Google for SEO and for SSL. And I get maybe what I'm thinking in my head is that this is like an expectation. This is kind of what we expect it to do. So you kind of forget to bring it forward as one of your important things. And a couple folks here, a combination of BC Gurus and BC Academy support and the whole community and collaboration, which I found at some level gratifying. I've certainly been involved with BC Gurus and BC Academy, and of course through the Sandpile, this community and collaboration. So I think it's important too. It's kind of what got us to where we are in a large degree, and I don't know what's going to happen with some of the education and even the templates and stuff around some of these platforms. If we kind of all splinter off and kind of make our own choices around platforms and such, how do we keep this strong community together and keep collaborating? So that's yet to be seen. I can't keep up with the flow in the chat there, but folks are really just talking about what they're looking at, what platforms they're considering, what they're making their final choices on, and all that stuff. And then we finally got to the email marketing thing. So they wanted included email campaigns, 15,000. They put a number on there. So they obviously found the 10,000 to be a little bit restricting. Integrated email marketing, easy to use campaign builder. Someone had said in the chat earlier they wanted that MailChimp and Constant Contact integration, built-in Zapier integration. They wanted something along the lines of Synergy 8's email marketing automation system for sure. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That's what drew me to that particular platform. That's kind of what got me excited about that one. There's some other challenges for sure, but for those that are doing email marketing, that was pretty cool. Then we get down to secure zones and membership sites, document zones, secure document zones. I think to some degree this can be done in the various platforms, but it was It was relatively easy in Business Catalyst, and it's not necessarily as easy in some of the other platforms, at least not the ones I've been looking at. So just look at the comments here again. Yeah, I can't keep up with that. So stable pricing, no per user customer pay scales. I think that's related to Platform OS, where the cost was based on usage, and lots of folks are finding that challenging because it's hard to sell that to your end client. Well, how much is it going to cost? Well, that depends. Is never a great answer to have to give to a client, but I think that's what that's related to. They'd rather have a fixed price where they can say, this is how much you're going to pay a month. No partner sign-up fees. Lots of them seem to have that, although many of them are waiving it or significantly reducing it in order for Business Catalyst partners. And obviously, that's in their best interest to try and grow their platforms by doing it. But I think there's some opportunities there. Ability to mark up hosting or a better commission structure. So one or the other or both. Many of them are offering commissions, but like Synergy 8, because it's so, their insistence on having themselves have the relationship with the end client makes it very difficult to mark up anything on that end of things. So if that's the case, well, then maybe you need a better commission structure, or you need to restructure your business to be able to extra bill add-ons, which can be challenging. It certainly can be done, but it can be challenging. I'm not sure what is meant by decent pricing. It depends on what your opinion of decent is, but I think, reasonable, decent, those are lots of words that came up. And they're looking for some partner benefits. And we had some advantages with Business Catalyst, and we're looking for something in line with that, I guess, is probably what's being said there. Compelling white label plans. That's how white labeling came up again. So Jane says document management is pretty much non-existent in other platforms. So being able to offer downloadable documents or whatever documents in a secure way or in a members type way, she's indicating is pretty challenging. And that's all I can pick out of there. So then this is kind of the last page, but it's kind of the one-offs, and people are looking for the ability to add third-party apps. Some of the platforms allow that, some of them don't. Multilingual content management. I have a site right now. It's a Canadian site, and it's a federally funded site. So in Canada, you have English and French, and this in that area of the country, they also have a large Chinese population. So they have it translated into 3 different versions of Chinese. One is simple Chinese, one is regular Chinese, and one is Mandarin. So I feel the pain there to be able to manage that. Right now, they manage it through multiple pages. It'd be nice to have a platform where you didn't have to do that. Should be able to create complicated applications and communicate with mobile apps. It is one of the whole mobile thing is one of the promises of Platform OS, or at least being able to be recognized as what do they call it? MWPs, AMP sites. Booking engine came up. It was just there once, but I certainly have used it. Although, frankly, I generally speaking use the web app and then use the booking side of things to keep tabs on how many subscribers there were and to send out the automated emails and such. Yeah, oui. Thanks, Giles. And Ursula says, she knows that Megan wanted content holders with expiry dates. Yeah, to be able to have, easily editable content holders where you can set the start and end dates and stuff for sales, for banners, for dated content, that would be nice. Yeah, Ray reminds me that Square is acquiring Weebly, so that could make things interesting over there. And Jane says it's not secure document management that's needed, it's just document management. Hmm. Custom reports. So, I've seen various levels of the reporting that's available on some of these platforms, and certainly I can see the need for custom reports, being able to build what you need to get your information out without having to necessarily install Google Webmaster Tools and use that whole reporting engine. Someone else, my sites need to have great SEO features for ongoing retainer contracts and SEO, of course. This last one really, I tried to think about what they meant by that, but how can you possibly have a website with no servers? So if someone that's on today is the one that put that in there, could you elaborate on what you mean by that? I just didn't understand it. If anybody has some insights, you're welcome to put it in the chat there. That's what I have for answers. So I will. I've got this in a PDF, which I will add to the meeting notes. And with that, I'll stop the screen share, and we can just have a casual conversation. Well, like Paul says, do they mean managing servers? Like, what does that mean? If you have a website, you have web servers. You have some kind of a content delivery network. Like, you have to have web servers. I just don't understand quite what that meant. Any other guesses? I was hoping that whoever it was would be on today and maybe could explain a little bit more about it. Yeah, right. Maybe autocomplete changed it from no services to no servers. So they may. That's a good thought, Giles. They may want to connect to their own servers. So maybe they want to run their own web servers, so you don't have to. But then I guess so. Then, like, what are you thinking about for a platform? Do you want to be able to download like an open source platform and run it on your own web servers? Nah, maybe. Maybe it's white label hosting. I guess that's already there. I mean, to me, if you want white label hosting, fire up your own Amazon web server, put whatever you want on there for a CMS, and go crazy, right? Yeah, I agree with you, Ray. To run your own web servers, that's a scary thought. Yeah, Jane's running a C-class network out of their house and still doesn't want to be in the business of hosting for sure. Yeah, Paul was looking at craft commerce, but it seems to require that you have your own servers to manage, so he kind of stayed away from that. Cloud hosting, the infamous cloud, Mary. Guess what? The cloud runs on servers. Just lots of them, all interconnected in the interwebs. Yeah, Mary says if they're going to go to WordPress, then they're going to use either WP Engine or Flywheel. I think we had a look at both, and I believe Chicago Digital wise, we're going to head to WP Engine. We like what we see so far. We are definitely using our own framework, if you will, or our own. I guess you can't shy away from calling it a theme. So we took the way we like to build websites, and that's what we're using in WordPress. We're not buying themes off of ThemeForest or anywhere else. We're using our own stuff, keeping the code minimized. We've got a set list of widgets that we're installing on a site, and we're being very, very careful about adding anything beyond that. For the most part, we're building our own custom widgets or our own custom functionality if we need something specific, rather than trying to find a widget. In our experience, what we've been finding is they can be anywhere from really well done to really horrible. So that's what we're doing, and I think that's how we're going to have a level of success with that platform without some of the negative stuff that I've seen going by in the comments and such. Maybe we're kidding ourselves, but so far we like what we see. Now, Fort Rabbit, Fort for Trabbit, Fort Rabbit. I've never heard of them, so that's one of the reasons we like Sandpile so much, because you hear things you never heard of before. Cool. Well, it's I'm whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm fine now. I've delivered what I wanted to get out this time. Even if it's something as simple as what do you want to talk about next week, that would help me. I'm glad this idea came to me over the weekend, because I think it's valuable for us to have this conversation. Yeah, Jane's got about 50 she's inherited, and there's only one she doesn't hate. So fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, Mary. So WP Engine does have a list of widgets they won't support. So we vetted the ones that we decided on with them, and then they gave us the green light on the ones that we're using. So it really is fairly limited, and we're basically installing them from scratch. With we've got a set framework that we upload, and then we build off from there. But we keep it real slim. If anybody wants to have a chat, feel free to grab the mic. And again, any suggestions for a topic for next week would be appreciated. Otherwise, you're left with what I think of between now and then. I'm thinking about karaoke week. I thought if we could have Mary sing, Mary Sing the Blues. That was a movie. Well, it wasn't Mary Sings the Blues, but Lady Sings the Blues. But Mary Had a Little Lamb. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to me as we're working through this. The initial, I guess it's the five stages of change. There, grief. Was it anger, grief, all whatever the five stages are. So, initially there was a lot of activity around, oh my God, and denial and pain, and then it became a scramble to try and find something that seems to largely have settled into people going, oh, you know what, I have, especially with the 1 year extension, I have a little bit of time, I can make a conscious choice, I can make a plan. Depression, yeah, I can make a plan and move forward, and I like that. I like a more defined or conscious choice. Treat this as an opportunity, and make some changes in your business that make sense to you. Maybe even holding off for a bit. But I mean, obviously, it'd be better if it didn't happen. But I think the panic is gone largely, and what's settled in is resignation, and then perhaps um, investigation, and maybe we've kind of turned the corner, and we're looking at this as an opportunity. Maybe I'm just reading into things, but. So Nelson says there's over 77,000 partners. If just 20,000 partners put $5,000 together, can't we replicate our own system? Well, I suppose that's entirely possible, but that's precisely what Platform OS has done. That's really what they're looking at. They're building a platform, and if we all wanted to invest in that, I'm sure they'd be happy. Co-production, same thing. They're looking for some investment dollars for that kind of thing. So it's already kind of being done. The logistics around getting 20,000 people to put in $5,000 is an interesting thought. Yeah, Ray, I don't disagree. Like Ray said that they were lagging behind the rest of the industry anyway, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I wish I was really drawn to it when I first found it in 2010, and if they would have kept up on things, I mean, it could be such an amazing platform, but they didn't, and here we are. So what I'd like to find is what they could have been if they kept going. So. Yeah, Daniel says he doesn't want to move to another platform too fast. He's kind of waiting to see what BC Gurus was going to do. They have a meeting set for tomorrow. I'll be there actually too, so I'm hoping they're going to talk about what they're going to do there. Yeah, Jane. Clients, they recognize 3 years as a long time, but it's still a real short time to migrate sites if you have a lot of sites for sure. And while you're still trying to build new business. Agreed. Adam wonders out loud if code production can pull off what they're promising. Um, I've seen lots of feedback. Lots of folks have said they've worked with them for a while and they have delivered on their promises. So I can tell you that that's been said openly. Um, so for whatever that's worth, there it is. Yeah, Jack. Jack has 2 years and 9 months to hit his retirement plan. I'm with you on that. I'm buying my weekly lottery tickets too. Hirsch completely trusts Adam. She's known him probably not the longest, but certainly much longer than a lot of us. And certainly, what's happened is not his fault at all. I think in a lot of ways he's come to the rescue, and he's been rushed to bring his stuff to market. I think that's where some of the confusion has come from, as they're all trying to adapt or adjust to what's happened. And I think we just have to be a little bit patient there. Yeah, Jane, that's correct. Co-production is building a management layer. It's a very different business. So they kind of have the two things. They have their own servers, which are ultimately going to be on Amazon Web Servers, and then they're looking at building on top of Platform OS. But they are definitely building their own integration into both of those scenarios. So it is a different animal. Craig, I don't. No, there it is. It says he said, "Where's the BC Guru's meeting link?" It's farther down in the chat there. Several people have put it in there. Yeah, Mary, I'm with you. I just like to get back to work too. Uh, I'm kind of I'm kind of tired of looking at stuff too. And I was actually building my first site on WordPress this week, and I'm happy to kind of get back to that. And it's taken some work to figure it out. It happens to be WordPress, that's fine, but there's some level of familiarity in that we're using our own framework. It's definitely different in that it's PHP versus Liquid and such, but we're finding our way through it, and I'm happy to be back to actually building a site rather than investigating and trying to think about that. And Clay says, yeah, a lot can happen in 3 years. He's going to put a couple more sites on BC and see what develops. Not a bad plan. In a lifetime of a website, if someone is actively working it, 3 years is not that long. So Alexandra has indicated she's starting to move sites to other platforms. They may not be the platforms they stay on, but they're good solutions for now for what she's got to do. I don't blame you for that at all. There's some people that are even on the vindictive side and saying, I'm not giving Adobe any more of my money. And I can't blame them for that either. Yeah, Mary's indicating some more support for Adam Broadway. Although he did say he wouldn't sell this time, I personally think you're incorrect. I'm not saying he won't. I'm not saying he'll sell to Adobe, but with anybody, like Mary, if I came and offered to buy your business, you'd sell me your business. It just comes down to a matter of money, right? So I mean, you build a business to sell it. So I don't know that it's fair to say that he would not sell it. Um, that's my opinion. But Adam, they've adjusted that timeline. I think your best if you go to businesscatalyst.com, all those stats are on that page. It'll tell you when you can't create trial sites anymore and all the rest of that stuff. Yeah, Jane's building on new platforms and saying no to work that doesn't quite fit. I get that. Yeah, Nelson's a bit confused about Platform OS. It's really just a marketplace application. That's one of its disguises, I guess. It's one of the things it could be. I look at Platform OS kind of like Amazon Web Servers. It can be whatever you want it to be. You just have to build the integration on top of it. There are folks out there like Adam Cook, like Code Production, like these other guys who are building that management layer, I think is what Jane said earlier. So Platform OS can be whatever you want it to be as long as you can either buy or build the management layer that goes on top of it. Hopefully that will help. I know that Adam is working on his own admin interface, his own management layer, if you will, that he can package up with Platform OS. But the intent is that Code Production can put theirs on top. If Jane decides to build one for her clients, she can put her own one on top of it. So that's the intent of Platform OS, is to keep it modular. And that's maybe where that marketplace word comes. Yeah, Arsh, it's not just a marketplace application for sure. And I think you just have to give them a chance to get it out there, get some documentation out there, get some of the marketing stuff going, and just give them a better chance to explain what's going on and show you how you can use it. So Alexandra asked if anybody's noticed any degradation in Business Catalyst. Her developer believes the platform is starting to degrade. And she's noticed a few things too. I haven't noticed it myself, but I'm not necessarily watching existing sites. I build, I don't support. So, but we have weekly meetings. I haven't heard anything in our weekly meetings about it. So I would have to say I haven't noticed it. Doesn't mean it's not happening. It just means I, in particular, haven't noticed it. Ray says Adam Cook describes POS, Platform OS, as a set of tools. It's probably not a bad way to go. So Jane indicates they've had some weird random behaviors happening on some of them are complicated edge case sites. And Urish reminds us that Platform OS is really set to launch in June, so it's a bit early for understanding the functionality, as it's not all there yet. Fair enough. And Ray reminds us that BC just did an update, our release 233. So they've done updates in the past that have caused small issues. So maybe it's just as simple as that. Yeah, Jane. One of the updates is we can now delete ourselves. Reminded of Star Trek and standing on the transporter chamber and hitting my own button to take me somewhere else. Are they refunding if you cancel sites? Mary, I believe the answer is no, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that. I think their way of handling that was, as I think June comes up, as any yearlies come up, they're automatically converting them to monthly, and that's the way I think they're getting around that. I'm not sure though. But I mean, hit up support, see what the answer is. Bring it back to the group. I'd be interested to see. And while you're there, get another beer. It's 5 o'clock here, so normally I'd be with you, but I don't drink, so I drink coffee. Because if I drank beer like I drink coffee, I would be liquored all the time. So still no suggestions for next week? Anything burning on someone's mind they'd like to talk about next week? I don't really want to pull the survey card again. That's been 2 weeks in a row, and people have been great about filling them out. But if you go to that well too many times, I think I think it can be overused. So Mary had a challenge with an email list from a form not working intermittently, and support wasn't helpful, so she's redoing the form. Business stuff, pricing. Another platform demo. I'm happy to do another platform, Ray, but no one has come forward as wanting to present. They've either done it or they're not quite ready to go yet. So I'll give that thought. Business stuff, pricing. So maybe. Let's tweaked a couple of ideas in my mind. So maybe there's something there. And Josh says, how about rebranding? We actually already rebranded it as Sandpile. I almost never call it BC Sandpile anymore. And if you look at the website, I believe I've got all instances of BC off of it. I believe. So someone of course will go look and find that's not the case. But so we've been calling it Sandpile for a while, and I guess that was an unconscious decision that we thought made sense at the time, and then now we know why. That's the universe taking care of things for you. And Mary's offering to show what she's learned about Weebly Cloud. That could be interesting. I'll take that down and reach out to you if necessary, Mary. I wouldn't expect you to fill a whole hour, so. A little early to rebrand. Well, not really, because we weren't really rebranding because of the end of life for Business Catalyst. We were just trying to rebrand it as Sandpile because we thought there was more here than just Business Catalyst. And then as it evolved, well, that's the case. But pricing and packaging. Now, we have looked at some of that stuff in the past, but maybe it would be good to have another go at it as people move forward and talk about their new business strategies. So maybe it's a good time to kind of review pricing and packaging. So Paul's suggesting some of the more complex scenarios we are facing and realizing platforms may not be able to accommodate. Like he's got a site where they take a deposit and then installments, and that's always been a bit of a challenge. Give that some thought. The challenge with that is that, Paul, is I don't know that we have a decent answer. And maybe that's where the community comes in. But, I don't mind talking about it, but it's frustrating if you talk about it and then don't have an answer at the end. So Pixel Together, I see someone wants to talk about it, and Urish might have an example of a site transfer. Yeah, Pat indicates a summary of what platforms might suit which requirements. A lot of that is already in this conversation. If I know Barbara has put together, there's an Excel spreadsheet out there basically that does exactly that. I don't have a link for it. If anybody else does it, they could put it in the chat. And that's probably the best thing there, Pat. That's brutal to put together, and that one's been put together over the last 5-6 weeks sort of thing. So it would be tough for us to kind of match that here. So I guess I'm not saying no. I'm just saying it's kind of already there. And frankly, I don't want to be the one to have to put that together. How to bundle marketing packages could be a good topic. So that's that pricing and packaging and bundling. I'm kind of liking that possibility there. Yeah, Pat commented to me privately. It's just it's not. It's just a lot of work. It's for something that's ostensibly already there, and in the end, it would be my opinion. And I guess I'd be a little bit worried about putting something in there that wasn't necessarily correct or right, and all those things come to mind. I don't see the link there. I don't know that I have it anywhere. Just looking on another screen here. Yeah, I can't put my finger on anything there. All right, well, we're basically at 5 o'clock here, so I'm fine to stay on for a little bit longer if folks want to chat, but I'm gonna call it here, and I'll stay on and answer the couple of questions I see just came in. But thanks for your attendance, and thanks for inputting what you did into the survey, and hopefully you get some value out of that. I will post a PDF of those answers, if you will, with the meeting recording link. So Jack asks if in the coming months I can do something with WordPress. I would consider that. I'll have to ask if the folks at Chicago Digital are okay if I display that stuff, or if they view that as a competitive advantage thing. So, thanks, Ray. Appreciate the feedback. Thanks everyone for your kind words, and we'll talk to you next week. At this point, the front runner seems to be pricing, packaging, and bundling. So I'll try and put my head around that, and we'll see you next week.